everyone. I am going to quickly do a recording walking through some of the features in Thornwood, just because I think they're cool. And I also think that the still screen caps that I've shown haven't necessarily shown them off properly or made it where you can understand how they work. And also I just want to. That's the main reason. So we're going to start by going into settings, and there's not that much here, but I'll still walk you through some of the sort of non-standard features that I added and why. The only thing over here that you will find is that I did put the UI on its own mixer. So now you can control the sound of buttons and things like that all independently of the sound effect volume. This was mostly for me because I start to get really irritated with the sound of the UI through the course of development, but I thought people might find it useful too. Over here you'll notice we have these little question marks. You can hover over them. They just pop up a little tooltip explaining. There are subtitles for the sound effects in music, so if you're playing with the sound off or you have a hearing impairment, this will pop up a little ribbon in this area as you're playing that just says, you know, sound effect leaves rustling or something to that effect. I put a toggle here for the text-to-speech. Text-to-speech is a default REMPI function, but a lot of people don't know that you can just push V to toggle it on, like
self-voicing enabled.
That was actually me pressing
disabled.
V, but now
Text
there's a toggle as well.
Self-voicing disabled.
The glossary notice, I had this in When Stars Collide. This just turns off the notification for the glossary entries. Particularly at the beginning of the game where you're getting a ton of new lore. There are just a lot of glossary notices, and so this turns off the sound notification, but I'll show you more about the glossary in a few minutes. In here we have the love scenes as usual. You can toggle them to soft focus or essentially like a fade to black. They don't really fade, it just kind of glosses over the detail. Scene text color, I had this in When Stars Collide as well. It just means that after you have seen text, it is a different color than text that you've never seen before. It just helps you keep track of course, what you've seen and what you haven't seen. Branch indicator, I will show you what this is in a few minutes when we get in game. And for the reset progress, I get asked a lot by people how to essentially remove all of their persistent data. A lot of people reach a point where they kind of want to experience the game completely from scratch again. And so they want things like the glossary notifications to start popping back up as if they've never seen them. That is what this button will do. When you click it, you get a confirmation screen. This will not delete your saves. It only essentially removes the persistent data. So it will treat everything as if you've never seen it before, but your saves will actually remain intact. And this is just the navigation. This just essentially shows you common controls, like you can use control to skip and things like that. And I do want to pop into the game. I'm trying to decide. We'll load. Well, I'll show you guys the save screen while I'm here. I've talked about the save screen a little bit already and the features that it has. Essentially, it works like the save screen in When Stars Collide. Every character has their own page. When you're in the save screen, not the load screen like I am right now, there will be a little add save slot. I can't see that right now because I'm not on the proper save screen. You also have these buttons here. This one just lets you bookmark a save. It's just a visual indicator that you can use if you want to remember a particular save for a particular reason. This is a delete button. A lot of people, again, don't know that in RimPy you can hover your mouse over a save slot and hit delete, and it will ask you if you want to delete the save. So many people don't know how to delete saves. I just added a little trash can, and yes, that is what that is. Let's not discuss that. I added the little button so that it's just easier for people to figure out how to delete saves. This button here allows you to label your save slots. So you can type in a label of some kind. You don't get a whole lot of text. It's not meant for extended notes. It is just meant as a way to add a quick label. There are some limitations to how this works. For instance, if I were to delete this save, which I don't want to because it's a test save, but if I were to delete it, the note would actually still remain. We didn't really have a way to tie it to the actual save. It's more tied to the slot itself. But it still allows for some additional level of organization. So hopefully people find it useful, or at least some players who like to save on a line or a moment that they really liked, they can now label those and keep track of them a little bit better. And this is where I wanted to go. So this is in game. This is chapter 3, I think. So you're not going to be able to see this for a while, not until the demo releases. But what I really want to show you is some stuff with the menu. So when you get on the menu, as with When Stars Collide, hovering does show the main character's expressions, and you get to see more of their sprite as well, which is not usually visible. I think the game cuts off right around the end of their rib cage. But there are a couple of things that I wanted to show you on this menu. First is this guide, which I have shown off before. So when you click, it essentially just pops up a little notice that tells you exactly what every choice does. In this scenario, each choice kind of aligns to a character and it's the best option for them, but you'll also sometimes see good option or worst option in other choices, and you can toggle this on and off on every single menu. So instead of having a sort of global hints system, I thought it would just be better to do it per menu, so you don't have to always have all the hints on. You can just look if you get to a menu that you're really unsure about or that seems really consequential. The other thing that I just wanted to do, I'm just going to pick something random here. We talked about the branch indicator in the settings screen, and so when you click a menu, you can see these little branches popped up here. So they weren't there, and then they pop up. These pop up every time you make a choice, and they pop up whenever there's like a non-choice variation that's significant. They won't pop up if there's only like 1 or 2 lines, but if there's like a significant chunk of text that breaks off as a variation, these will pop up and just let you know you're in a variation. This is because a lot of times, not so much with the choices, but with smaller variation branches, you often can't tell that they happen because they're very seamless. And so this will show you that they're there, especially if I can't fit them onto the flowchart, because a lot of times with the smaller branches, it doesn't really make sense to show them, or the flowchart would start getting like really, really cluttered. So this is just a way to see that, and they will go off on their own when you're sort of out of the menu content. And I also wanted to show these things here. So if we look at this, this is what I'm calling the choice history. It's literally, it's just every single choice that you've made so far in the game. And if you click this little button on the side, it will actually tell you what that choice did, if it did anything. Some early choices don't necessarily affect anything. Oops. So when you click show, it doesn't show anything, but if it did have an effect, you'll be able to see that here. This sort of replaces the affinity meters that were in When Stars Collide. I just found that they were a little bit limited because they only showed the result of your most recent choice, and it kind of refreshed with every single choice. And so this lets you also look back at earlier choices and remember what they did as well. This I've shown off before. This is just a profile screen, and it also has an affinity indicator. This little line here will eventually kind of be the threshold that you need to be aiming for to get probably the best ending. And if we go to Philo, you can see he has a teeny tiny bit of affinity there. Like all of my games, affinity here means more compatibility than it means just affection, because the choices in the game are not purely relationship oriented. There are, of course, plot choices or like the broader plot, not the sort of romance plot. And those choices will still affect your affinity, but they're not necessarily about the affection that you have with the character. They're just about, are you compatible? Are you showing compatibility with the character? And that's everyone, for anyone who wanted to look through all of those. Where was I going? There's the ad save slot that I couldn't show you before. So I think that's everything. I can show you the flowcharts, but I mean, the flowcharts in the prologue are fairly simple. They work the same way that they did in When Stars Collide. So there's nothing too exciting there to show off. I think I've shown off everything that's new. Yeah. Okay, so that those are the features that I wanted to show. You can kind of see that change in color between unseen and seen text. And yeah, hopefully I'll be able to release the demo by the end of summer. Well, summer in North America. It's winter here in Australia, but I don't know. I still have a lot of backgrounds. Like even this scene right now that's on screen is supposed to be in another room. That background is just in progress right now, and there are several others that appear within the first 3 chapters that I just don't have yet. And the first 3 chapters plus the prologue, that's when I want to release for the demo. So it's just, the slow wait for the background artists to get those complete because there are a lot of them. So yeah, but I will be showing snippets here and there until that time. So this was just one of them, and you got a little look in game as well.